Okay, let's just dive right in. We're going to talk about a feeling that I'm pretty sure is universal, that sense of being completely and totally overwhelmed. But the solution we're looking at today isn't some new app or productivity hack. Nope. It's an ancient skill, a foundational power that can completely change how you approach your life. Does this sound familiar? I mean, it's the constant soundtrack of modern life, right? Your calendar is basically a game of Tetris you can't win. Your phone is buzzing with notifications nonstop. And your to-do list, it feels like it has a life of its own, just growing and growing no matter what you check off. We're just constantly reacting, putting out fires, and trying to keep our heads above water. And even when we do get organized, when we lay out that perfect plan for the week or the month, why does it feel so fragile? All it takes is one unexpected thing, one emotional reaction, one moment of weakness, and the whole structure just feels like it's crumbling. You know, like a sandcastle against the tide. So, this feeling, this sense of living on shifting sand, that's the core problem we're going to tackle today. It's that feeling that you're super busy, but maybe not actually productive. That you're moving, sure, but are you moving in the right direction? We're building something, but the foundation, it just can't handle the storms that life inevitably throws at us. So, let's just put away the quick fixes for a bit. We're going deeper today. We're not looking for a band-aid to cover up the symptoms of being overwhelmed. We're looking for the cure. We are going to rediscover a foundational human power that people have been talking about for thousands of years: wisdom. And the core idea for our entire discussion today comes from this simple, really powerful story told 2,000 years ago. And it perfectly captures our modern problem. See, it's not just about hearing good advice or knowing what the right thing to do is. The key is right there in the action and obeys them. That's it. That's the difference between a life of stability and a life of chaos. Let's just break this down. The foolish builder, they aren't a bad person, right? They just choose the path of least resistance. They build on sand because it's easy, it's fast. They hear the instructions, but they don't actually follow through. The wise builder, on the other hand, they do the hard work up front. They dig deep to find solid rock. They hear the instructions and, this is the crucial part, they act on them. One life is built for comfort and the other is built for resilience. So what is wisdom in a modern practical sense? It's really simple. It's the ability to build your life on rock. It's the active skill of being able to tell the difference between the easy short-term choice and the right long-term one. Wisdom is when your actions finally line up with your best intentions. Okay, so if we want to build on rock, we have to understand what creates the sand in the first place, right? What is this storm that's threatening to knock everything down? We need to identify the enemies of wisdom that are constantly trying to mess with our foundation. And here they are. Think of these as the four main culprits for a life built on sand. First up, impulse, that constant pull toward immediate gratification, that little voice that whispers, just this once. Then there's ego. You know, the need to look good or be seen as right, which can totally blind us to what's actually true. Third, shortcuts. Our culture is obsessed with the quickest, easiest path, but it rarely leads to anything that lasts. And finally, people-pleasing, building our lives on what other people think instead of our own solid principles. That is a guaranteed recipe for overwhelm. Let's zoom in on that first enemy, impulse. Charles Fillmore calls this the serpent of sensation. It's that part of us that's tempted by the immediate pleasure of a new purchase, or a snarky comment, or some indulgence. But he makes this brilliant point. Wisdom doesn't show up in the heat of passion. It speaks to us in the cool of the day, that moment of clarity after the impulse has faded, when we can actually think about what's important. The wise builder learns to wait for that moment. Okay, this next part is absolutely crucial. We often get wisdom confused with being smart or being knowledgeable, but they are totally different things. You know, to build a strong house, you need a lot more than just the blueprints. Let's get really clear on the difference. This metaphor just frames it perfectly. Think about it. Knowledge is the map. It's knowing the facts, the data, the layout of the land. Intelligence is the vehicle. It's how fast you can process all that information. But here's the thing. You can have a perfect map and a Ferrari and still be driving in circles. Wisdom. Wisdom is the compass. It tells you which way is north. It gives you direction, making sure that all your knowledge and all your intelligence are actually taking you where you want to go. So, this all sounds great in theory, but what does it actually look like day to day? How does this ancient idea really apply to our modern lives? Let's check out how this choice between rock and sand shows up at work, in our relationships, and even with our personal habits. This really illustrates that daily choice, doesn't it? At work, the sand is saying yes to the easy task that gets you a quick compliment. The rock is taking on that difficult project that will actually teach you something valuable. In a relationship, sand is firing off that angry text message. Rock is taking a deep breath and waiting for the cool of the day to respond with intention. And with habits, well, sand is the New Year's resolution to go to the gym for 2 hours every day, which fails by week 2. Rock is the simple, sustainable promise to just walk for 15 minutes a day, every single day. All right, now I want to give you a tool you can use immediately. Because wisdom isn't just something to understand, it's something you have to practice. So for the next few moments, we're going to walk through a simple, reflective exercise to help you find your own foundation. Okay, I want you to bring to mind a decision you're facing right now. It could be big, it could be small. Maybe it's about a career move, a difficult conversation you need to have, or even just how you're going to spend your evening. Just hold that situation in your mind. Now, we're going to ask 3 simple questions about it. First, ask yourself this. What is the rock in this situation? What's the solid ground? This is your core value, your long-term goal, the principle you actually want to live by. Is it integrity? Is it your long-term health? Is it having a loving family? Get specific. Identify the unshakable foundation you want to build this decision on. Now be honest with yourself. What is the sand? What is that easy, tempting, short-term path? Is it the desire to just avoid a conflict? The impulse for immediate comfort? Is it your ego just wanting to be right? Pinpoint the shortcuts, the fears, and the impulses that are trying to pull you away from the rock. And finally, with that clarity, ask yourself, what is the single next action the wise builder would take? We're not talking about a 10-step plan here, just the very next brick to lay on your foundation of rock. What's the one thing you can do right now that aligns with your long-term values, not your short-term feelings? That simple practice, when you do it consistently, is how you begin to build a life that can actually withstand any storm. It's how you shift from frantic reaction to wise, intentional action. The key isn't just to do this once. The key is to make it a habit. So here is your path forward. First, just start noticing the sand in your life, those moments of impulse and reaction. Second, do the work to define your rock, what truly matters to you. Third, make those 3 questions a regular part of how you make decisions. And fourth, build. Lay one brick at a time with small, wise, consistent actions. You know, in his work, Fillmore connects this idea of a solid foundation to a higher principle. He suggests that when you build your life on a truth that's bigger than your fleeting moods, it's like building a strong tower. It becomes a source of safety and stability in a chaotic world, a personal fortress against the storms of life. So I'll leave you with this question. Forget about the whole building for a minute. Just focus on one thing. Based on what you've thought about today, what is the very first brick you will lay for your foundation? What is that one small, wise action you're going to take? Thanks for joining me. Remember, building with wisdom isn't about being perfect. It's about having the right direction. And that stable foundation you're building, that's where true strength comes from. Which is perfect, because next time we'll be exploring that very topic as we dive into another of the 12 powers, strength.